Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. Thank you for having another listen, guys. Just before we get into the show, just want to talk to you about our new sponsor that's come on board, Books and Gifts Direct. Books and Gifts Direct is Australia's largest direct seller of books and gifts. They sell their products in lunchrooms, reception desks, and now in more than 25,000 workplaces in Australia. Their books and gifts sell up to 70% off recommended retail price, and as the largest direct seller of books and gifts across Australia, they have a strong buying power, and without the overheads of a shop front, they can afford to pass on significant savings. So guys, if you want to take a look at this, the link will be below in the description. But guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into the show. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. On today's episode, guys, the NBA is back. You will be hearing this the day of the NBA first scheduled games. Guys, I can't wait. I'm fucking so G to get into it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go straight into the show. Welcome to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. All right, we're back for another episode, guys. Just before we get into the episode, I do appreciate you guys listening to the most previous one. That was a really good one for me, a special one for me. I had Coach come in and interview me. That was a really good one. We could have done that for more, 2-3 hours. We didn't really touch on any of the lane stuff. Maybe possibly later in the year, that could be a podcast for discussion. But yeah, guys, I do appreciate you guys listening to that. It was one of the most listened ones we've had so far in a long, long time. But guys, the NBA is back. I am so happy. I'm so G'd. I'm so ready for it, to be quite honest. I haven't really watched a lot of preseason. That's why I haven't really had any preseason takes or anything like that, because I do believe preseason is important. But I think like a team like LA Lakers, I don't think they won a preseason game or something like that. So it just shows you that it is important for some teams, like teams teams that are building. Maybe a team like a Memphis Grizzlies is important so they can build them on the momentum. But I'm not too worried about preseason. We're going to talk about some teams that I'm really impressed with, but I just want to get first off, I haven't talked about Kyrie and his situation, and it's not because I don't like it, dislike it, that. I just think it is a very different subject, and it's, for me, I really don't mind what he's doing. At the end of the day, he's standing up for what he believes in, and that's something that I can respect as a person that respects on his beliefs and what he feels is right. I'm happy with him to do that. If I was a Brooklyn fan, I wouldn't be happy though, because you want your best players to play, and it would be very hard, for a fan like Brooklyn, because I don't really have any people that I know that are fans of Brooklyn. Maybe if they win this, bandwagon fans, but it would be hard for me to go for Brooklyn and my best player doesn't want to play. And I get it. If he doesn't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. I'm pro-choice. If you don't want to get it, don't get it. If you want to get it, cool. But at the end of the day, push comes to shove, I just don't know if he's going to be able to, not play, because he can get traded to another team, and he can definitely go and play. Someone like it right in San Antonio in Texas, where he can play any amount of games, especially home games, because they have no laws. But at the end of the day, New York has a law, and you can't be there if you're not vaccinated. And I just think, I think it's tough, because he's in a situation where if he plays, they are the best team in basketball, flat out. They are that good. It's insane. Their depth is amazing. They have everything on the path for them to be a successful team and win the competition. So it would be hard for me to see him not get vaccinated throughout the season. I do believe that is going to be possibly, when time goes longer, New York might not have the rule where you don't have to be vaccinated. That there can be rules and stipulations, but I just find it super tough. And I know that they've gone their separate ways at the moment, but I think the best thing for the NBA is for Kyrie to play. And I think it is definitely the best thing for the Brooklyn Nets, because he is their third best player. But in saying that, he could be some team's best player. That's how good he is. And I think people underestimate and forget how good Kyrie is. He's one of the most skilled players I think we've ever seen. He might have hit the biggest shot in NBA history, apart from Ray Allen's Game 6 three-pointer in the corner in the 2030 NBA Finals. So he's that big of a player. I just love what he does, but at the end of the day, he's standing up for what he believes in, and you can't get mad at a person for that, because there's plenty of people that have been in the world that say they want to do something, they'll stand up for it, but when push comes to shove, they'll fold. So I am appreciative of what he's done. I do hope that he comes back and plays, because as a basketball fan, I want to see the best possible basketball in general. I think that watching Brooklyn will be the definition of today's era basketball. Run and gun, shoot the three, play fast, pace and space, smart, high IQ players playing the game. And that's what I'd love to see. So hopefully, Kyrie, if you ever hear this, which is hopefully, I think you should strongly consider it just based on the fact that you can go down as a legend. You can be immortalized as a player. But if you don't want to get it, I do respect what you're doing. And KD said it perfect. He said, look, Kyrie feels this way, the Nets feel this way. No point in being mad about it. That's what it is. So I just really like what Brooklyn's done. They said, you know what, you don't want to get it, don't come play. I think if he comes back and plays, because there was a report that that they're not going to offer him an extension. If he comes back and plays, there's no doubt in my mind, and he wins the comp, he will sign an extension with the Brooklyn Nets. So I don't believe that off the top of my head. But yeah, I just think that if he comes back, mate, it's going to be really good for basketball and NBA. But at the end of the day, I do respect his decision, and that's something that you can't get angry with. I do want to talk about, just before we get into more of the build up to the NBA season, the Ben Simmons saga. Now he is back in Philadelphia, and that's fun. That's funny to me. It's funny to me because there was a guy's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not coming back. I don't want to do this. When push comes to shove, he didn't stand up for what he fucking believed in. And now look at him. He's back in Philadelphia. And I'm Philadelphia. I am looking to trade this guy ASAP. Trade him anywhere he doesn't want to go. So apparently there was a report he's interested in Sacramento. Don't trade him there now. Don't trade him there. But in saying that, that is just a passion that maybe a Philadelphia will have. That's obviously the fans said trade him anywhere. Trade him anywhere he doesn't want to go. But if you can get the best package for him somewhere, get the best package for him. Honestly, I think Philadelphia, they need to get an all-star in return. You can't not get an all-star in return, or someone that can be proven to be an all-star. If I am Philadelphia, a team I would look at is OKC. I'd be looking at OKC and be like, look, Shea for Ben Simmons. That could be just a straight swap now. That could be a possibility. I know that the money would have to work, this and that, other players, but that could be a possibility. Or Ben Simmons, KP. You need an all-star caliber player in return. And I just don't like, the fact that Sacramento's getting put in the rumors, San Antonio's getting put in rumors, because there's no all-star caliber player on their team. I will say, if De'Aaron Fox wasn't in Sacramento, I think he'd be an all-star, most likely somewhere. But in saying that, you need to get an all-star in return for him. Obviously, we looked at when Toronto and San Antonio did the trade. All-star for all-star, Yes, San Antonio didn't get the best package, but they got an all-star in return, and they thought they got a really good player in Jakob Poeltl. If they went and got someone like a Pascal Siakam, could have been completely different, because if we all know, Pascal Siakam is a very good player. Did take a bit of a digression here and there throughout this past 2 seasons, but I still think he's a very good player. But yeah, I just think you need to get an all-star in return for him, and you need someone that fits. If I'd be seriously looking at Indiana. I would seriously be looking at Indiana. Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert. Those are 2 players I'm high on. I really like. I think if Karis LeVert never got injured and Karis LeVert never had health problems, he would be an all-star in this league. Let's not forget, he was putting up 50 pieces, 30, 40 pieces on the regular. He's a gun. He's a great scorer. It's a scoring league. And I think I'm really high on Indiana too. I might talk about them a little bit later. But I really like someone like Indiana. It's the best for both worlds. Now, Indiana, you get an all-star player. You can pair him up with Domantas Sabonis. That's a nice little piece there. Domantas can space it. Maybe you look at a Miles Turner. Maybe look to flip him. But then you can just surround him like shooters. And the best possible destination for him to go to is still Golden State for me. Surround him with shooters. Let him play fast. Let him play free. Let him be the big player. Let him be there. But at the end of the day, they're not going to trade Draymond for him. And I just don't think that that's ever going to happen. I think if you're Golden State, look, I'm going to talk about Golden State later. I don't care about the Bison, but they're looking good. They are looking nice. My prediction is looking very, very good right now. We all know what my prediction is. But yeah, I think with the Ben Simmons situation, trade him when you can. Hopefully his trade value goes up. Play him a heap of minutes. Get people to see what he's going to be like. See what his attitude's going to be like. Because if his attitude's on point, then teams will probably look to, trade for him. But if his attitude's going to be shit, then I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole personally. But that was my take on the Ben Simmons drama. Now, I want to talk about some teams in preseason, because I didn't watch a lot of preseason, but some of the preseason I watched, and just teams that I think are going to be really nice to watch this year. First team I'm going to talk about, I'm going to get them out of the way. I am high on the Golden State Warriors. Now, I didn't know Jordan Poole was going to come out and be nearly, the next, I don't even know. He is looking really, really good, and I just think that team, especially with Klay Thompson out, they're going to be still really good. And the way I look at it for Golden State, they don't have to, go, 60% or 70%. They need to stay in that 500 range until Clay gets back. And if Clay gets back to 80%, 85%, 70%, mate, I think they're so dangerous. I think they're a team that knows how to win in big situations, and a team that's not scared to verse big teams. People are forgetting Golden State were the yardstick from 2015 to 2019. That's 5 years. 2015 champions, 2016 finals, 2017 finals, 2018 finals, 2019 finals. 5 years they were the best team in the NBA, over that span. So I just think that if you don't understand how good Golden State are going to be this year, I don't think you know basketball, because James Wiseman, when he's not out, they're going to play Warriors basketball. Pace the space, free to move the ball, shoot three-pointers at a high clip. That's what they're good at, And I just think that they're going to be a dangerous, dangerous team. And I really like Jordan Poole. I like all the acquisitions they've done. I really do. I love the fact that they've got Moses Moody. He's looking like a real good player. He's looking like a player that's going to fit in their system. I'm still high on Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's not going to get as many minutes and be the gun he could be, or be in another situation where he can just go out and make all the mistakes. But he's going to be a player that comes in high intensity. Andre Iguodala. He is not the Andre Iguodala of old, but that's not what he's there to be. If he can be there and give you good spot minutes, maybe like a Sean Livingston, then that's an asset for you. The only one I'm not a bit iffy on is Bielitsa. But in saying that, if he can give you 3-4 minutes where he's gives good production, gives you nice, couple 3-pointers, and plays solid defense, which he's not great at, but if he can play a solid defense, then that's still a great signing too, because you didn't get him for that much. I will say, I would love to see them keep Avery Bradley, but they've got a lot of players that I think that at the moment are a little bit better than Avery Bradley. And if one player that people are forgetting, if Otto Porter is healthy, he will be an asset for this team, and it's not even a question. If he is healthy, he will be an asset for this team. So I'm very high on Golden State right now as it sits. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I will talk about how good I think they are. A couple other teams that have impressed me, the Chicago Bulls. I really like Chicago right now. I think they're going to be a really fun, exciting team, a very big league pass team for me. I really like the fact that, not even that they got DeMar there, but I really like the Lonzo Ball signing. I think that's the best signing that they've done in the past 5 to 10 years in the Chicago Bulls. Because the way I look at it, now it gives Zach LaVine less pressure to handle the ball at all times, and now it makes the defense focus on Lonzo, because Lonzo might not be the player that people thought he was going to be in the NBA, but he can still be an all-star in this league, I believe, because he's a super smart player, very high IQ. Now he's in a system where a coach backs him, believes him. When he played with Luke Walton, they didn't get along, and that's just a fact, And when he went to New Orleans, he had Alvin Gentry, but he was in and out, still a bit injured, coming off the bench. And then when he had Stan Van Gundy, still a little bit up and down. Now I think Billy Donovan, they want him there. They've given him that $80 million deal or $88 million deal. They want him there. And I think he is the clear-cut starting point guard. And I think that he's a super smart signing for the Chicago Bulls. And if you haven't watched, they've got a nice little documentary on YouTube, Run With Us. Have a look at it. It's really, really good. It gives you the inside of Chicago and how they're trying to rebuild, but not tank to rebuild. And I like that, because you got to try to be biased sometimes. You don't want to be just like, well, it's not like an OKC in any perspective or any way, but they're going to be bad, and they want to be bad to get draft picks and flip. Whereas Chicago, they were bad for a little bit, but they were still trying to get better and better and better. And I really like that, especially as a fan, because I don't want my team to be terrible every season. If you're an OKC fan, you're basically written off this season. There's no chance in hell that they're going to win the championship. So it's a tank season. And one of our good mates, Juice, of the show, he's an OKC fan. And look, like it's just going to be tough if you're an OKC fan. They're still going to be a fun team to watch if you ask me, because there's going to be a lot of nice youth, a lot of inexperience, and I think Josh Giddey is a much-watched player. But in saying that, I really do like Chicago. I really like what they're doing. I think DeMar DeRozan's offers a great signing. Alex Caruso, great signing. They've got about 8 deep with Lonzo, DeMar, Zach, Patrick Williams, Nicola, Kobe White. They've got Caruso. I think Darius Jones Jr. can be a nice asset for them. Javonte Green's been looking pretty good in preseason. If you ask me, I still think that they can look to get a backup big, but Tony Bradley's been pretty good at the moment. I think, and they're going to be a team where, what I believe is they're going to be that 4th to 6th range or 4th to 8th range. I think they're going to be a team where players, if they get bored out, are going to look to go there because they can go have an immediate impact and be in the rotation. And I think that's a team that can get better and better as the season goes along. I think they're going to be really, really nice, and I really like what Chicago's doing right now. Another team I do really like at the moment, and it's not to say that they've played great in preseason, but a team I'm interested to see is the New York Knicks. Because now they're not that team where, they're the darlings of the NBA. They've overachieved. Now they have actual expectations. But the best thing if you're a New York Knicks fan, you've gotten better as a team. And that's just point blank. You've gone out, and I think you've done reasonably well. I think there's a couple of questionable calls. I think the most questionable one is Nerlens Noel, 3 years, $38 million. I think that's a bit of a different signing, if you ask me, especially in today's era where the center is a dying breed. And like him as a player is a dying breed, can't really shoot it or space it. But in saying that, he does a good job. He gets rebounds. He does a good job. He does his role really well. And the other signings that I really like Evan Fournier. I think if he's anything like the Olympics, Evan Fournier, they can space it, they can shoot it, they can be a real solid asset on offense. I'm high on him. I'm also like the punt that they took on Kemba Walker. Now, a lot of people think, especially Ben Simmons, thinks that he's just not healthy enough, and sometimes he's not damaged goods, but he's a player where it looks better than what he actually is. And I don't know if there's a player that I can think of at the moment, but maybe someone like it's kind of like, he can score 20 points, but he's going to let in 25. If that's like a good little if that's like a good, it's not a metaphor, but you get what I mean, right? Like it's like he's a good player, but he's also got negatives to him. And sometimes those cons may outweigh the pros. But I still like the punt they took. He's only on $8 million a year, so I think it's a smart signing. And he wanted to be there. You want to have players that want to be there. I do like the signing of Alec Burks. I think he's a nice young piece. A nice piece for them. He's now fitted into his role where he's going to come off the bench, give you some scoring, give you some impact. I really want to see the progression of RJ Barrett. What can he be like this season? Can he take that step up and maybe be an all-star possible winning player in this league? Because I think there can be two options for him. He can really go high and really push, or he can kind of flatline a little bit, just based on the fact that there's a lot more weapons in the Knicks team now, and he might not get as much touches. But if you're a Tom Thibodeau, I think you got to maximize the touches for Julius, you got to maximize touches for RJ, and you got to look to get touches for Kemba a little bit. And I think that I would go on the first, where I would say he will progress and he will get better and better. And I'm really looking forward to see the atmosphere that New York's going to have, because it's now where people think they're going to be good, and it can go two ways for them. They can either fold with it or they can really flourish in it. And I think the latter, I think they're going to flourish in it, because I just really like what they're doing. I'm a believer in Tom Thibodeau as a coach. I know he can wear teams out, and there's not jubilation, that's not the word, there's question marks to some of his coaching aspects, but I do really like what he's doing there. So I'm a big fan of him. And I just think that New York, I don't know where they're going to fall. I think they can be from that 5th to 8th range. And I think the East has gotten better, so it's kind of a bit harder for them. But I do definitely think that they can be a playoff team. And I'm really happy to see what they can do. Another couple of teams that I want to talk about that I like, and it's just crazy to say, I do like Sacramento. I really do like Sacramento. I'm actually liking that 3-guard front that they're doing, but I'm just not sold on Luke Walton as a coach right now, because the way I look at it, there's been reports where players don't like him, but him and Buddy Hield don't get along. Like there's something there, and I think I'm listening to a couple of podcasts, especially I love Bill Simmons and what's his name? Ryan Russillo. Whenever they're on together, either on the Bill Simmons podcast or the Ryan Russillo podcast on The Ringer, they don't really love Luke Walton, but they think that he could get fired, and maybe Alvin Gentry could be a coach in waiting. And I think that's not a bad idea. I think he's a good coach, Alvin Gentry. He is an offensive-minded coach, and his defense isn't great as philosophies. But at the end of the day, there is a saying, defense wins championships. But if you're a Sacramento fan, you just want to see him get into the playoffs. And if Alvin Gentry can do that and Luke Walton can't, take Alvin Gentry, because you can build. If Sacramento, I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs this year, but I'm expecting them to be in the playoff hunt. I'm expecting them to possibly be in that play-in tournament. So I really think that they are impressive. Davion Mitchell is going to be a really nice piece. If he can grow, he will be a good player. I am a big fan of Tyrese Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox. I do still believe Marvin Bagley's going to get traded. I still do believe Buddy Hield's going to get traded. I think that's givens. But if Marvin Bagley can turn it on, then they're going to be a really strong team. And then the last team, I don't know how good they're going to be, but I'm going to like to watch them. Minnesota, especially just because of Anthony Edwards. I like him a lot. I think he's a smart. I think he's a great young scorer. He's got a lot of personality. He's a guy that's very marketable for me, and I just would like to see what they do. Hopefully, they can get it together and they can become a smart, a young team that's vibrant and fast. Because Minnesota's been a kind of team like where Sacramento, where they've just been terrible for the past 10 to 20 years. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be a team that's just, we're just going to be in the NBA because we're in the NBA. No, you want to be in the NBA to win championships. That's my perspective. So I hope that they can get it together, and I hope just for their fan bases, because I've met one Minnesota fan, and I've never really met a Sacramento fan. I hope for those fan bases that they can get it together. Now, a couple of teams I'm not hyped on, and it's for good reason. I am not hyped on Cleveland right now, and I know there's a couple of people that are, but I don't know what they're going to do with Kevin Love. I don't know what they're going to do with Colin Sexton. I think there's two players that can definitely be on the trade market. I'm not super sold on why they signed Larry Markkinen when they've got Evan Mobley, and I think Evan Mobley is going to be a better player than Larry Markkinen. And then they also got Jared Allen. So you've got four legit bigs that probably can play anywhere. Maybe the worst player there might be Kevin Love right now. So trade him. He's on the biggest salary on your team. Darius Garland, he needs to take a step up. I'm not a fan of what they're doing. They might do what they did last year and just start really fast, but I do expect them to flatline. I don't expect them to be good this season. And I think it's going to be a toll where the worse they get, what are they going to do? It's just none of their draft picks have really panned out, since LeBron's left there for the second time. So I just don't understand what they're doing. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't like what they're doing. I don't like anything about it, to be quite honest with you. I don't like Larry Markkinen's signing. I'm not a fan right now of Cleveland. And I don't think I'm going to be wrong on that. I just don't like them. And they're not going to make the playoffs. I know that for a fact. And I think they don't want to pay Colin Sexton, obviously, because they don't believe he's going to be an all-star caliber player. So maybe look at maybe a Philadelphia, maybe a Colin Sexton, maybe a Kevin Love, maybe a couple picks for him, That can be an option. You just never know. But I'm not sold on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. And if you are a Cavaliers fan, I wouldn't be too thrilled for what you're going to anticipate for this season. Another team I am super low on right now, and I definitely believe they're not going to make the playoffs, and I definitely believe their marquee player will leave the Pelicans in a matter of years, and that is obviously, I spoil it, New Orleans. I do not like anything of what New Orleans have done in the offseason. They have not gotten better, and they have not kept the young core of Lonzo, Zion, and Ingram. I don't understand why they would let Lonzo not... I just don't understand why they let Lonzo go. He got along with Zion. He got along with Ingram, your two best players. He can play in any system. He's an elite shooter. I just don't get it. And what, you're going to get Devontae Graham for him? That is a downgrade in the biggest aspects of basketball. Devontae Graham is not better than Lonzo Ball. So that's a downgrade. I will say, they do say, we got off the salary cap of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams. But at the end of the day, you paid those two guys and you traded for those two guys in. So you thought that they were smart acquisitions, where at the end of the day, you traded them. Now, I do want to say Jonas Valanciunas is an upgrade to Steven Adams at the moment. But I just don't like New Orleans. And now that Zion's going to be out, I'm not a fan. And I'm not bashing Zion, but he's not looking fit. And that's a problem for me. That's a problem. They're not holding him accountable. You need to hold your best players accountable. If your best player comes in out of shape, what's that going to prove for your team? All your other players are going to follow, because at the end of the day, he's the leader of that team, whether he likes it or not. So I don't like New Orleans, and I think Willie Green has got a tough gig for him. And I think if they keep doing a coaching carousel, which they've done in the past years, it's not going to be good for New Orleans. And they could be a team where, when push comes to shove, I'm sorry, Adam Silver said Las Vegas is a definite possibility for an NBA team. They could move to Las Vegas. That could be a big draw. Zion in Las Vegas, a big market. That could be a draw. And I just want to say, I don't see Zion Williamson signing with New Orleans long term. I definitely think he might leave, and he could go to a team like Chicago. He honestly could. He could go to a team like New York Knicks. He could go to a team like Dallas, a team like Atlanta. Those are teams where I think that are on the up. Like, why would you want to be in New Orleans when they're not going to do anything? He could go to a Charlotte and pair up with LaMelo. Like, there's so many opportunities for him. New Orleans is not a place where basketball's been successful, unfortunately. And I love New Orleans. I've always wanted to go there. I love the culture, everything about New Orleans, but it's not working, and there needs to be something done. And I'm not a fan of New Orleans right now. And I thought David Griffin was a good GM, but some of the moves that he's done have been very average. Very, very average. So I'm super low on New Orleans. And I hate to say it, because I do like Zion. I think Zion's a really cool guy. He's a great person for the NBA. I think B.I. is a real good player. But it's just not going to be good for New Orleans. I do want to say, if New Orleans do it right, and they look, let's just trade Zion right now, get a massive return for him. Get a big, big return for him. And at the end of the day, maybe you can try to do it different. Maybe you can try to rebuild in a different way. Because I just think Zion would push up and shove. He doesn't owe New Orleans anything, and he can just leave. He can just leave. And, people are like, no, he can't, but he can. This is where you can leave if you want. AD left. Chris Paul left. People can just get up and leave. That they can just request trades. So maybe look, a trade might not be the worst thing for Zion and New Orleans. Now, I do want to talk about my final award predictions heading into the NBA season. Now, I did do a podcast, a couple months ago. Now it's a bit early, a bit, premature, if you can say that. But I will go say 6 man of the year right now, Derrick Rose. I think he's going to be a really strong piece to them. I think he's one of the 5 players that will finish games for the Knicks. I think you can maybe look at Kemba Derrick, RJ Julius, and then maybe, I'm not too sure, maybe Alec Burks, maybe Evan Fournier. Where, I'm not too sure there. You can go super small. But I really do like, Derrick Rose for 6 man of the year. I think he's looking really nice. He's looking really comfortable in his role. And I think that's a real important thing for him. I think Defensive Player of the Year, because I think Golden State are going to be so good, I think Draymond Green might get it one more time. And I think that he is a player where if he is on, their defense is going to be so good. Like, it's just going to be so good. It's a fact. So I definitely believe Draymond Green can be that Defensive Player of the Year. I'll go Most Improved Player of the Year this year. I'm going to go RJ Barrett because I do believe he's going to have a really good season. I think that he can be a player that really looks to improve, really looks to take that step up. If it's not going to be RJ Barrett, for me, you got to look at teams where there could be players that really take that jump up. Maybe a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be that possibility. But in saying that, he's going to have every opportunity to be the best player. I'm just not too sure. Most improved is the one where I'm not super sure on. But I'll say RJ Barrett for the meantime. That's, 2 New York Knicks that possibly could get awards in my eyes. I'll say Rookie of the Year. And I think it's pretty safe at the moment. I think it might be Cade Cunningham. But I'm not shocked in either him or Jalen. But I will say sleeper pick. I'm going with it. Sleeper, Josh Giddey. I do believe Josh Giddey could be Rookie of the Year this year. I really do like what he's doing. I think, he's proving to me that his basement is a Ricky Rubio type player. And that is not a bad thing to be in the NBA. Ricky Rubio has been getting paid in the NBA. He's been a starting player in playoff teams. I think it's a really, really good sign. 6'8", is faster than what I thought. Is more athletic than what I thought. And is adapting to the pace of the NBA at a higher clip than what I expected. So I really like him. Now, we'll move on to MVP. And it is a wide open race. And there's two players I'll put in there. I think Luka Doncic can definitely get it. And I think Bill Simmons said, this might be the year where Luka just takes off. He just goes. LeBron in 07. LeBron did that in 07. Maybe a Curry in 2015. Maybe... I'm trying to think of players that just had insane runs. But I definitely think that he can have a run like that. So I definitely think he can be there. And then my second pick, which is probably the favorite pick I would take, I think Steph Curry has an absolute chance to get MVP. There's no other player in this league that's going to have a bigger green light, or be on pace to have a bigger green light than him. So I think that, he can really go hard this season. So I'm really looking forward to him. Now, I will do this. My finals prediction as it stands on the 20th of October, because this is where this will be released. I am going with the Brooklyn Nets, and I do believe Kyrie will be back by then. From the East and from the West, a lot of people are going to say LA, but I reckon Golden State have a really good chance. I'm going Golden State, and a lot of people might say, wow, but you got to look at the West is super open right now, and that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't like taking the prototypical answer of Nets Lakers. I do think the Bucks are going to be really, really close. At the moment, I'll do Eastern Conference Finals, Bucks Nets, Western Conference Lakers Warriors, and I just think that it's going to be such an entertaining season this season, and we're going to have one of the best seasons in a long, long time. There has been a lot of storylines. Hopefully Ben Simmons can get traded. Hopefully Kyrie can come back. And I'm just super looking forward to it. So, guys, I will do one more prediction. The opening round games for the NBA, Bucks Nets. I have got a running poll right now on the page, Lanes Media. I'm going Nets to win 1-10. And then Lakers Warriors, I'm going Warriors to win 1-10. I think that they're both going to be entertaining, fun, fast games. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the Brooklyn Nets team, how they're going to mesh. And there's no better test to go up against in the East than the Milwaukee Bucks. So, guys, that is today's episode. I'm really looking forward to NBA. I hope you guys are too. There will be a lot more NBA content coming your way. Guys, thank you for listening. You will hear a little bit more just in the outro here. But, guys, thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe all of the content that's coming your way. Hit us up on Instagram at LanesMedia_, all under capitalized letters. Thanks for listening, guys, but most importantly, have a great day.